reached a boiling point. Okay, so this is Terry Shun is going to molest me. She's going to rub on my leg. She's going to be giving me orders. Right, I'm sitting in her chair in her office on a Saturday, making some work up, and so I'm sitting in her chair, sitting in her office like she commanded. Right, sit here, sit there. And then she's, showing me something on the computer, a spreadsheet. I don't know. I don't even know for today because the only fucking thing that I can remember is the time that they disrespect me, the times that they tried to fucking make me a slave. And that's what she was doing. She was sitting there just basically saying, click on this, click on that. And I was clicking on all the stuff that she wanted me to click on. And she loved it, right? She was like, oh my God, I got so much power. I got so much power over this man. And so she started getting hot and bothered by all that power she had. And as she was like leaning in and pointing to things on the computer screen, she would lean in and then just kind of brush my leg, right? Sort of like how a cat will do whenever they walk by. They'll just put their tail, right? Just put their tail right on your leg and just keep on walking like they didn't do nothing. So it was clearly sexual. It was uncomfortable. And I'm faced with, a dilemma here. So for 3 hours, all she did was like a rock star God, do this, do that. We were trained to be obedient. Shut the fuck up. Listen to what your master tells you. For 3 fucking hours, there's only 6 people in class, including one guy, Cal. I think his name was Cal. An old black man dressed up in a, nice little tux, nice little uniform, right? 4-piece tux, wears a, has the vest underneath and has got the, the jacket. And it's like striped, right? So it's pinstriped. So he's got, a sweet ass fucking suit on. But for 3 fucking hours, he don't say a word. I don't say a word. Nobody in the class says a word. It's only the rock star God, Terry Shun. She's know-it-all. She knows everything. She even said something like, well, I'm not very good at learning from my students, but I suppose I could learn something. Oh, yeah, you can learn anything from anybody if you weren't a piece of shit asshole. You're a big fucking know-it-all. You know every fucking thing. Fuck you. I mean, if we're supposed to be like you, we're supposed to pretend like we fucking know it all, and then we're supposed to listen to you. There's too many hypocrisy, too much fucking contradiction that's going on here. Okay, so here was the, I wrote this to Richard Hudson right afterwards. So he doesn't give a fuck, right? They kicked me out of the university, and I'm still fucking making a big deal about how she fucking molested me, and he didn't do shit. Richard Hudson didn't give a fuck, and neither did Elizabeth Rogers. I told her back in November, and I told him, in December. So they both knew in 2013 that I had been molested. They didn't issue any charges. They didn't press it. They didn't give a shit. It did not fucking matter. I don't know if it's because I'm a man or because I'm a student, but it's one of those 2 fucking reasons. So both Richard Hudson and Elizabeth Rogers thinks that the molestation and sexual harassment of their students is acceptable. That's fine. That's okay. Terry Shun has a vagina. She's allowed to do it. I have a penis. So therefore, I'm allowed to be sexually harassed. But, she's looming over me. She's pointing at me. She's rubbing on my leg. I'm in her fucking office. And it's not, it's not obvious. It's not like she's pointing and touching my dick. But she is touching my leg. And it was sexual and it was gross. And I didn't like it. It was very uncomfortable. And if she had touched my dick, then I feel like, okay, yeah. Then I could have said something, but because it's borderline, right? She could just, I was just lightly touching him because I was, leaning into him. I didn't mean to, but you were touching him, right? If she even admits that, I don't know if she would even admit something like that. So even though she didn't specifically tell me, either let me molest you, or else you'll be kicked out. That's the fucking, that was the deal. They believe in 100% compliance. They're worse than fucking Hitler. Hitler, there were some people, some of the Nazis, I saw a picture where he just had his arm crossed, right? Everybody else is doing a Nazi salute, and he's got his arms crossed. So even in the Nazi regime, there wasn't 100% compliance. But in America, teacher training schools believe in Doug Lamove's Teach Like a Champion, and they believe in 100% compliance. Listen to what that absolute arbitrary fucking piece of shit just told you to do. Because they're a queen, they're a king, they're a monarch, they're a dictator, and you're a fucking dumb peasant serf. Shut the fuck up, sit down, and do as you're told, kid. That's the fucking, that's the overall philosophy right there of American public education system. They want you to be obedient so you'll be a good little worker for the corporations or good cannon fodder for the war machine. That's it. That's the Prussian industrial model. Why do we have bells? Why do we go to lunch during noon? We do all the same shit that a fucking factory does because we were made to be fucking cogs to the factory, right? So it's the Prussian industrial model. Look it up. It comes from Prussia. And Prussia, they were the Germans. So they're, very much the Nazis for today. So we have Nazi like policy, a Nazi-like public education policy. So, okay, so I would like to think that I've been strong enough to say no. He kind of like, as soon as I tell what the fuck happened, he thinks he's so fucking clever, right? It's gross. It sucks that it happened. I wish nobody fucking knew about this. But since they want to fuck up my life, I have to, you know what I mean? I was going to just look this over and not give a shit. I just get my fucking degree and go on. But the fact that they want to fuck over my life, they didn't give a shit about it. The sexual harassment, they didn't give a fuck. It wasn't serious to them. They just want to fuck me over, right? And so they are molester oppressors. They've been oppressed and oppressed and oppressed, and they understand when I'm the boss, I give the order, you submit to me. That's who the fuck they are. That's what they understand. And you're sitting there telling me you give some priest a bunch of fucking power, they'll never molest any kids? Yeah, they did. And just like Spalding University, which is a Catholic university, they move the people around, they cover up the fucking molestation that they do. Another thing is, I almost feel like he's selling me out. It's almost like, well, you're a man, so, you must have liked it. No, she's fat, she's ugly, she's disgusting, and she's a mean human being. She doesn't understand her presence in the fucking room. She doesn't understand when she's in someone's face. She has no compunction, no anxiety, and she has no empathy for others. She is the very textbook definition of psychopath. No anxiety, no empathy. She has none, okay? No, that's the most ugly fucking thing in the fucking world. And should I have took issue with her when she was sitting there telling me to do orders, click on that, look. You can explain the big picture and I can do that, but you tell me to do this and do that, I can't do that. Oh, well, how dare you fucking talk bad about me? There, you just got a bad grade. Well, I got a bad grade anyways, right? So, he asked the question as soon as I fucking tell it, this disgusting, gross story. He doesn't, no empathy, right? Doesn't care that it fucking happened. Doesn't care that I was fucking, it was scary and gross. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? If she touched my dick, okay, that's clearly, no. But she's just slightly rubbing my leg, right? So it's kind of like, all right, you want to get a little pleasure out of what? Just my leg, that's acceptable? I don't know. It was something I could fucking ignore and look on, but it was fucking gross and disgusting, and is very much characteristic of what oppressors do. I remember telling Karen Dunnigan, actually a month or two prior to this incident happening, that an oppressor is one step away from being a molester. And remember this, an oppressor is one step, one order away from being a molester. So these teacher training programs, they don't teach them to actually teach sovereign, autonomous sovereign individuals. They teach them to smash your kid's soul. Shut up, sit down, little Billy. Fuck you. I'm going to call your parents, and they're going to make you sit down. I'm going to call the security guards, and they're going to send you the ISAP, and they'll make you sit down. Some violence, some bad thing will happen to you. And that's how they get compliance, by being shitty. By being a fucking asshole. That's how they get compliance. And they'll sit there and that's how they act, right? They're role models, right? They'll role model their fucking behavior, and if you want compliance, you act like a dickhead. You act shitty, but you can't cuss, right? You be a shitty fucking asshole and you don't cuss, then you can get your way. Well, if you don't lift your head up right now, I'm going to call ISAP. You want me to call ISAP? I'm going to call ISAP right now. I'm going to threaten you with some acceptable, torture, enhanced interrogation technique, right? So that's what they're using. That's what they're using. Just basically they use coercion, intimidation, they use divide and conquer tactics, they use the spoken word. Lecture is a good way to control the classroom. Now, I'm a little bit different. I know about these tactics, but I hate them. I'm philosophically opposed to management. I'm philosophically opposed to it. I don't want to be managed. You're sitting there managing me and pushing me around. No, fuck you. You treat me like a fucking person. I'm an individual. You're an individual. You have your own individual autonomous sovereignty. I have my own individual sovereign autonomy. I got my spirituality. You got your spirituality. And, as individuals, let's make this work. I'm not your slave, and you're not going to be my slave. We're going to be equals. And however that works is how it's going to work, right? So, that's my fundamental philosophy of basically life, but they don't know how to do that. The first, whereas I'll go to, a classroom and I want to inspire them to want to learn. I'll make it fun. I'll make it interesting. I'll make it democratic. I'll have them voting in polls. I'll have them getting into cooperative learning groups. I'll have them, interacting and socializing with each other, and especially if they're talking about the subject material that I'm working on teaching. Having them all shut up and just lecturing at them, they only retain 5%. There is no teaching that's going on in Julie Chancellor's or Jennifer Mangio's class. They've never taught a single person in their fucking lives. If all they did was lecture, show a PowerPoint, and thought that they taught something, they have no fucking clue. They're so far off base, they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. They just been doing what they've been told, and what they've been told, and what they've been told. They're just going with tradition, right? So they're just trying to fucking smash me. So the difference between obedience and morality is to be obedient, to do as the fuck as you're told, regardless of the moral consequences or the morality of the thing. Should we listen to this person? Well, she's the teacher, let's just do it. Well, that's not a good reason to do something. If you like your friend, right? If your friend tells you what to do, how come you don't do what they say? You like them. So we don't want to do that. We don't even want to put them in a position where they have to say, well, am I going to be a slave, bitch-ass nobody? Am I going to be an insignificant scrap of frog shit? Or am I going to be a human? Am I going to be a person? So there's this one article I read that was talking about compliance, okay? 100% compliance is what Doug Lemove, to teach like a champion, is teaching. That's the textbook that they used. And they said 100% compliance. So like I said, not even fucking Hitler wanted 100% compliance. But that's what they expect, is 100% compliance. Now, while they're sitting there telling you what to do, getting 100% compliance, right, they always go for that fucking being shitty tactic. And they don't try to do any of the other tactics. There's a positive behavior intervention system. Well, what you do is you talk to the person, you relate to them, and you build a repertoire. Kristen Harris is a bitch, right? Kristen Harris is a shitty, stupid, fat, ugly bitch, just like Terry Schoon. They're assholes. They produce nothing of value for society. The only way that they get people to listen to them is they say, either listen to me or I'm going to fuck up your grades. Listen to me or I'm going to fuck your life up. That's how they get people to listen to them. And that's a bully. That's a fascist, totalitarian fucking piece of shit. That's a bully, and that's an asshole. And that's the problem with America is, you know, there's several problems, but one of them is that there's a high level for obedience. And obedience brings about war, genocide, and slavery. The biggest crimes in all of American history, or all human history, are because of blind obedience to arbitrary and absolute authority. Why do we have war? Because the teachers, these white female teachers, are making their kids in the classroom be stupid and obedient. So when they get out of school, it's like, well, I got to get a job or I got to go to the military, but I'm not going to come up with my own business. I'm not going to be an entrepreneur and start my own thing. I'm not going to do that. I have to get somebody to tell me what to do because that's the only fucking way I've been trained to be. And that's unfortunate. Whereas me, I want to inspire them to the curiosity. I want to build up a trusting relationship. When you can get someone's trust, then you can, you know, start to learn from them. I don't like that that's a control tactic, though. None of this is for control, but in order to win someone's trust, you have to genuinely care about them. And you have to show them that you genuinely care about them. And I do genuinely care about people. So that would be easy, I think, in order to do. And also, when you build trust because you're an adult, younger children, I'd say middle schoolers, maybe not so much high schoolers, but a little bit. I would say a little bit. You know, admire older adult figures. So they just, once you've built that trust, children just want to please you. They just want to be pleasing in your eyes, so they don't want to fail you. I remember actually very specifically, Sharon Parker was a chemistry teacher of mine, and we went on this you know, this Florida trip, and then I got in some trouble. I was going to, you know, one of my friends dared me to take a t-shirt. I was going to take it, but as soon as I went through the metal detector, I just went to the counter and I set the t-shirt right on the counter, and then she said, "Get the hell out of here." And I said, "Okay." So actually I didn't walk out of the building, right? I didn't, but it was bad, it was wrong. But the point of it was, when we got to the van, she says, "I wish they would have thrown your ass in jail." And afterwards, I just felt so fucking low. You know, I was naive. I shouldn't have given a shit about what the fuck she had to say. You know what I mean? Like, because I cared, she knew that she could hurt me, and she hurt me. She did it. And, you know, she said it, you know, you should have thrown your ass in jail. Well, that's whatever. I don't even want to really explain all of it. But, you know, being beat up all the time and having no friends, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then the person that she fucking loved and hung out with was the one that tried to get me to do it. But whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. The point being was, when she turned around and said that, I internalized that shit. You know, I just felt fucking bad. And so, you know, no fucking way I was going to do something like that again, because I didn't want her to not like me. I wanted her approval. That was enough in order to keep me, you know, quote unquote good. And so that was me at 17 years old. Okay, so I'm 32 now. It's 15 years has gone past. Now, I wrote this right after that. So as soon as I told Richard Hudson, okay, they kicked me out of the university, I'm still talking about this shit, but really I want to get back into the university. I want them to either graduate me and do something fucking better. But he was like, oh no, I care. I care, okay? I really care. That's how Richard Hudson is. He's a creepy fucking weirdo, dude. You have no fucking idea. You know, he'll pretend to care. So, what's going on? Oh, well, are you planning on murdering anybody? Huh? No, but are you accusing me of being like this? Like, what the fuck? No, but I told him, okay, I got molested. As soon as I finished the whole story, right, she's leaning into me, telling me, click this, click that, rubbing my leg, you know, getting off to it, just, oh, yes, I love your leg. And while she's doing this, you know, or while I'm explaining this, I finish up, right, and I say, and then that's it. And then he just, you know, he didn't want to believe it, didn't want to do anything about it, didn't do anything about it 3 fucking months ago, right? So now he's kicked me out, and now he has to go through the motions of trying to do something, but it's all cover-up, right? So now he could say, oh, I filed the fucking thing, I went through the process, I did the interview, and I found no wrongdoing. Oh, well, that's fucking great. That's fucking perfect, Richard. You did everything you need to do, and you found out that there is no wrongdoing. Good for you, man. I'm sure you really, you know, fucking asked the hard questions, didn't you? Right afterwards, after I finished explaining, he was like, well, if she would have done more, would you have told her to stop? And I never even thought about it. So it was like a gotcha question. That's what he felt like. So if she would have gone further, would you have told her to stop? I got him. I got him. Because if he says that he would have said something, then how come he didn't say something before? And if he would have said something, you know, with this thing, then clearly he wasn't being oppressed because he could have said something. You know, I would have liked to think that I would have been able to say something, yes, definitely. But the reality is, it was gross and uncomfortable, and I felt like if I would have said something at that point, you know, without knowing that it was 100%, because I would call it mild molestation. If you want to put a distinction on it, it's a mild molestation thing. You know, I think like the small touches, really all touches should be like just put off to the side, right? But we're human. So, you know, I think like the tiniest touches ever. I think what you could do is like someone, you know, sitting on a chair, you can kind of massage your shoulders a little bit and say, hey, how you doing? What you working on? Okay, good deal, walk away. You know, before you could pat a kid on the head, hey there, little Tom, good job, little Tom, I like what you're doing. I remember in high school, I see John Jones would smack my butt, right, whenever I was playing basketball, which I didn't hate, but it's weird, and I wouldn't do it again. You know, like what I mean? Like, no, I don't want my coach doing that to me. That's a very erogenous zone, okay? And so that's you know, I wouldn't do anything like that. There's also, you do like a side hug, right? You can kind of just hug, you know, someone on the side. High fives, I think, are good, right? High fives, fist bump. So I think those are all minor things that I think are acceptable touches, tiny minor touches. Not molestation. She was molesting me. She was putting her fucking hand on me, and she kept fucking putting her hand on me over and over again. And people, well, maybe you should have said something. Oh, now you're telling me I need to say something. In my entire life, you tell me do as the fuck as I'm told, and now you're telling me I got to be free. Now you're telling me I need to be free and independent, and I got to take a fucking stand. See, you guys are too big of fucking contradictors. You know, for 3 fucking hours a day, I'm supposed to do every fucking thing this piece of shit, this fucking oppressor molester is telling me what to do. For 3 fucking hours of every fucking day. She don't give a shit what anybody says. Cal, the guy with the 4-piece tuck suit, he eventually just quits. He drops out. He probably didn't get any of the homework done. He had no conversations. There was no relationships. We were not learning anything. We were learning that she's the boss and we're fucking nobody. You know, there was no solidarity. We didn't have good conversations or dialogue amongst each other. And none of the shit that she taught, she's a technology teacher, well, it was all outdated. She doesn't want to use Facebook or YouTube or Twitter because she's too fucking afraid, you know, of whatever the, you know, there's a lot of bullshit out there to be afraid of, but she doesn't want to use the main fucking, you know, social networking site, so she was telling us to sign up for all these different accounts for all these different fucking things that was just irrelevant and insignificant, the shit that she fucking liked and was convinced of, but it was all stupid, so I signed up for all these accounts of which I'm not going to get back on any of that, you know, and I'm not going to do any of this stupid fucking things. She didn't teach a goddamn thing. She didn't win us over. She didn't earn our curiosity. She pushed us through and made us do a bunch of dumb shit nobody wanted to fucking do, and we didn't talk to each other. So there's no relationships, no networking, no contacts. We didn't, you know, do better in life in order to make better, positive relationships. We didn't go out and get a good job, and we learned no information that actually would be what you think for. She's got the fucking key to the universe, like, you know what I mean? Like, she's not saying shit by standing in front of the look at me, you know, I know this thing, and I know this slide, and I know this slide, and by explaining it to you, I'm retaining 90% of all the knowledge, the learning pyramid. So by explaining it to her, she's learning all this fucking knowledge. And by just sitting there listening to the lecture, we're learning 5%. She doesn't give a shit about that. She's heard of the learning pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy. She don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter to her. She likes these fucking oppressor molesters, like their power and they like their money, and fuck the world, fuck everybody else. And they get away with this shit, and it's fucking bullshit, because if these people are the ones raising our kids, you know, we have psychopathic oppressor molesters raising our fucking kids. They don't give a shit about your kid. The 100% compliance, I read this, I think it was Sophie Johnson. She wrote an article about how we need to get away from 100% compliance. And she said the reason is because, you know, when she was talking about her class, she forced them all to sit down in straight lines, and she liked the order of the classroom, but she could tell that their faces were miserable. They absolutely hated what was going on. And so she was saying 100% compliance is wrong because you're taking all the power away from a person. There's some things you don't want your students to do ever, you know, for any reasons. You don't want them to hit, rape, burn things, you know, hurt, steal. You don't want them to murder, you know, none of them. No violence, no type of intimidation, right? You don't want none of that to happen between any of the stuff and between each other. So if that does break out, then you do need to stand up for yourself. But if it doesn't break out, then, you know, like, what is allowed? So we're not allowed to talk, we're not allowed to do shit. It's just a fucking, it's like old, you know, nun days, smacking your wrist. Shut the fuck up. Do your, you know, just drill. Here's a bunch of calculus. Drill. You're going to use calculus all your life. You're going to need calculus. Well, how do you know? I don't even know what the fuck I want to do in my life. You all been telling me what to do the whole time. Now I got to learn this fucking, you know, superior math. Is this going to get me anywhere? Oh, yeah, you could get a good job doing something. I don't know. An engineer? What is that? I don't even know what it is. It don't even matter. We don't love you. Shut the fuck up and get your homework done. And so, it's fucking bullshit. That ain't right, is it? So, okay, let's see, it was clear for 2.5 years, right? So I was a slave who mattered not at all. I was there to be manipulated, exploited, and molested. Elizabeth Rogers knew about me getting molested. I told her in November 2013, as expected, it didn't concern her either. She showed no cause for alarm or any wrongdoing had happened. Me being injured is acceptable policy at Spalding University. Is it really that big of a shock that the oppressor can be the molester? They got the authority to do it. They have the power. They have the sexual inclination. And once you command another's soul, another's behavior with little things, you can manipulate them with the big things. It's another classroom management tactic. But as the nobody intellectual slave with submission, compliance, and obedience as the norm, the status quo at Spalding University, a Catholic institution, which the church also seems to have difficulty with keeping their hands off of, you know, those underneath them, and then covering it up, right? So I'd like to think that I would speak out if the matter reached a boiling point, since obedience, compliance, and submission is all that Spalding University gives a shit about, not the learning pyramid, not Maslow's hierarchy, or our individuality or spirituality, not our ethics or morality. All notions that we were fucking human were thrown out of the window in exchange for 2.5 years of oppression. But being that it was tolerable sexual harassment, I didn't want to make a big deal of it, since sometimes the accuser can easily become the victim, right? Should I have not wore the clothes that I wore that day? She could have also denied it. Where's your proof? What proof you got? No, I didn't do that. What proof do you have? So if I try to make a fucking issue of it, I could see me getting kicked out that fucking day. I could see her going into overtime and making sure she sabotages every fucking thing that I do. And then when I go to say, hey, she molested me, then, well, prove it. Well, you can't prove it. Now you're kicked out in the fucking street. Go fuck yourself. Well, thank you, Richard Hudson. I got fucking molested in your fucking hall, in your fucking building, and I told you about it, and then you stole my money. So fuck you, man. Fuck you, you piece of shit. You want to fuck me over because I called a piece of shit, right? I called her what the fuck she was being, and you want to kick me out, but then when I get molested, you don't fucking say a word. You don't say shit. He's also a big-ass fucking hypocrite. He says, harassment communications, right, wants to file these charges on me. This bitch-ass motherfucker has given me probably about 50 fucking emails I don't go to your school, you piece of shit, bitch. Don't fucking send me no more fucking emails. I've already sent him an email telling him to stop, but he won't fucking quit. He won't quit, and he doesn't give a fuck, okay? And he's an asshole, and that's just who the fuck he is. He's a creepy fucking molester oppressor. He doesn't mind getting into my inbox. He doesn't mind just keep on fucking pounding my inbox, just inserting his information into my inbox over and over and over again without stopping. Just like Terry Shoon didn't mind rubbing my leg over and over and over again without stopping. She did about a dozen times in a span, you know, it was probably about in the hour, but it was like, you know, 1 minute here, 1 minute there, 1 minute there. So I'd say a dozen times in about 2 minutes. And so that's you know, 2 to 3 minutes. That's fucking gross, man. It's fucking gross, and it's fucking bullshit that I had to sit there and tolerate that shit. If I just stood up, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, it's her word versus mine. And look at these assholes. They don't fucking believe a fucking word that I say. He thinks he's so... Richard Hudson, the first time I met that piece of shit, bitch, he defended liars. You know, he doesn't give a shit. He tells his fucking operators to lie. He says, you know, if they ask you your name, don't tell them your name. Just tell them that you're the operator and fuck you, caller. I don't have a... My name is operator and fuck you. I'm not going to tell you my fucking name because they are not to be held accountable for anything. Molester oppressors are somehow above society. They're above reproach, right? The law don't apply to them. They tell everybody what to do. Everybody else submit. If they, you know, anybody else does anything that's slight or wrong or whatever, they'll fuck them over. But they can do all the wrong and crimes that they want to do. They're fucking immoral shitheads. They're absolute fucking dickheads. And I can't believe that I ever went there. I can't even believe I spent $50,000 for this shitty fucking education. I have nothing to fucking show for it. $50,000. What did I get for $50,000? None of the fucking knowledge is of that. You know, the only thing that I learned was that I'm a piece of shit bitch. When I get... You know, I have $50,000. I try to ask questions. I try to say things. But my fucking colleagues were the biggest kiss-ass motherfuckers I've ever met in my life. They think they kiss, you know, I'm going to be a teacher. So if I walk into, you know, this is Spalding University. Every person I went through Spalding University. If I walked into one of y'all's classrooms and I was the teacher of record, you'd be kissing my fucking ass. But because I sat next to them in their classrooms, they didn't give a shit. Because I sat next to them, I was them. They didn't have to give a fuck about what I said or what I thought. They only needed to suck their masses dick. And they loved sucking their masses dick as, you know, as they got on their fucking knees. They thought it was so great. It doesn't matter if Karen Dunnigan for 3 hours talked about nothing. They'll say, well, I learned something. You know, it might not have been that great, but I learned something. So they would rationalize what little tiny bit of fucking experiences and knowledge that they could have got as something, right? But if I was to say, hey, I have this idea, they're the first ones, all of a sudden they're Mr. Skepticism. They'll question the fuck out of my, you know, human authority. I'm a student wanting to have a conversation. But it's like, oh, it's a student talking. Fuck you, student who's talking. You're not better than me. I'm not trying to be better than you. I actually want a fucking dialogue, you know, because that's how you learn, right? Dialogue, experience, and teaching others. We could be teaching each others. We could be teaching each other. That would give us the experience, and we would be dialoguing. So the learning pyramid, all the bottom things would be utilized, and real learning would have happened. But they don't actually want that. That was Luke Schmoll and Desiree McGowan. I started in the beginning with them, and then I saw them in many classes, and they're the biggest kiss asses you'll ever fucking meet. You couldn't find any more kiss asses than those two. They loved the massa. They did everything the massa ever said, and anytime I said anything, I only had 2 opportunities to teach. I had, you know, basically sit down and shut up students, but there was about 10 minutes for a final presentation, and it was a final exam, right? It was the final class, and when I got up the first semester to do my speech, the only 10 minutes that I had in order to practice teaching, because that's how we become teachers, right? You don't teach them how to ride the bike, you don't get them on the bike, and then the final exam, you bring the bicycle up and say, let me see how you do, right? So, but I never practiced riding the fucking bike. I've been watching you ride the damn bike. It doesn't fucking matter. You get up here and you teach your damn fucking heart out. Okay, whatever. And, you know, they've won the fucking class. They've got them all fucking, you know, submitted and down. And then I tried to start a dialogue, but as soon as I start the dialogue, all I got is a bunch of shitheads that want to fucking shit on me because I threaten them, or they're jealous of me, or something else. It doesn't fucking matter. Or they hate the oppression. And in order to feel like a human being, they have to shit on somebody. And they can't shit on the teacher. Desiree McGowan, you know, Karen Dunnigan called that bitch. She was sitting there saying, you're a dumb bitch, dumb bitch. No, she didn't say that like that, but she was basically saying, now, Desiree, you got to respect people's private property too, okay? Talking to them like a real shithead. When I was the one being talked to like a shithead, that's okay. Nobody was going to say it was wrong. Nobody said shit. When she threatened to kick my ass, Karen Dunnigan heard it, but she didn't say shit about it because it's not a crime. It's not a crime. If a female does it to a man, it's not a crime. It's okay. That's what Karen Dunnigan was going for. She's the oppressor molester. She ripped out my soul and spirit. Shut up. I'm the fucking boss. You do as the fuck as I say. Oh, you threw a book? I'm going to make a federal case out of this. You threw a book. It didn't get damaged. It's still okay. Well, fuck you. Then, hey, I'm going to kick your ass. Well, let's not even pay attention to that. These people are so fucking evil, and it's fucking bullshit. If I was talking to people that actually gave a shit about me at the time, when I started having issues with them, I should have just transferred. I should have been like, they're not teaching me shit, fuck them. You know, I should have transferred. So anyways, I'm going along with this, I'm trying to read this email, and then that's it. Wow, 30 minutes already? Woo! Yeah, that's not good for, the sane. I'm going for sanity. Alright, that's sane. Alright, so I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to try to read this, okay? So, you know, I'm supposed to be 100% fucking compliant to this asshole all the fucking time, but all of a sudden I'm supposed to be Mr. fucking Freedom Man, right, when she's rubbing on my leg. Now, it's not that big of a shock. The oppressor could be the molester. It's, hey, little Billy, you know, pick up your pencil, take this test. Here's a quiz, little Billy. Work on this little worksheet, little Billy. Now, stay after class, little Billy, and take off your clothes. Done. Oppressor just became the molester. In fact, I think by you siding with those who have power and not siding by those who have freedom, you're automatically saying that you are okay with the oppressor killing people's souls. And that's not good. That's not good at all. Because, you know, we don't want them to be violent, but how do we want them to have power. We want them to be strong and capable in society. So what kind of children do we want? Just a bunch of little bitches, little obedient fucking slaves, right? Do as the fuck as the master tells it. Yeah, master. Okay, master. No. Either A, you want them to be the master, right? If there's a choice between being the oppressor or the oppressed, I don't know who wants to say, I want to be slave. I side with the oppressor, the oppressed, but I don't ever want to be the oppressed. I also don't want to be the oppressor. But I'll fight next to the side of the oppressed. I identify with the oppressed. So, but that's either A, you have to be the oppressor, right, or the oppressed. Is there any other options? Yes, there's plenty of options. Equality can be worked on. Just start out with liking the other person just for, you know, having consciousness. Why do we have consciousness? How come we can think about things before we do them? We can plan, we can think about it, and then we can go and execute that. How can we do that? You know, animals are just kind of wild beasts, and they just go along with their instincts. Whereas we have our instincts, but we also can think about things. So let's just relate to each other on that. I have consciousness. We don't know where it came from. You have consciousness. Where does it come from? And does it die? Once we die, does it just turn off? Or does it go somewhere else? So, you know, that's where it begins. When you just respect, it's the golden rule, right? So I don't want to be a slave. And since I don't want to be a slave, I don't want to be the master either, because I don't want anybody else to be my slave. So let's just be equal and free. That's Abraham Lincoln, actually. I don't want to be master, and I don't want to be a slave. I got that from Abraham Lincoln. And so I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here. I'm quoting Einstein, quoting Paul Freire, quoting Abraham Lincoln. But these stupid-ass bitches, they only give a fuck about their own power and their own money. And they're they're monarchs. They're monarchs. So if you go before, you know, King Louis the 16th, basically when a family or a person got power, they stayed in power forever. And they never left, right? This is my kingdom, and whatever happens in my kingdom goes. And fuck you, right? I don't care if there's democracy in my kingdom. Where is democracy? This is a democratic country. There's never, in no fucking American education class has there been a fucking democratic structure. I've never seen any of them. Democracy, we're not being taught democracy in the fucking schools. That's for goddamn sure. We're taught to be sit down, shut up little bitches. Even in democracy class. I had a democracy class at U of L. And he was still a dictator. And he loved it. And I damn well like it. I damn well that's the way I want it, is I want to be a damn dictator. Yeah. Well, you're not, no wonder, you know, he goes to Kyrgyzstan, right? They paid him a shit ton of money to go give democracy to Kyrgyzstan, and they didn't get democracy because they have these intellectual ivory tower professor fucking assholes that pretend like they have all the knowledge and understand democracy the fucking best, and, you know, can just do this and do that, but really they don't understand. Democracy is ruled by the people, and if you're a dictator and you love being a dictator, How the fuck can you sit there and tell me you understand democracy? You don't understand democracy. You understand democracy when the power goes into the people's hands and then they do something with it. When you can teach that, then you're teaching democracy. Until you can do that, you're not even coming close to it. We're not teaching democracy in America. America is probably the most undemocratic country and one of the most fascist totalitarian countries. Yeah, we can protest every once in a while, but if a cop beats the shit out of us, we have no recourse except for suing them afterwards if they don't kill them in prison, like they did with Eric Gardner. And so basically we're begging for the time and space when we're allowed to, you know, protest. They'll have free speech zones. Yeah, you're allowed to have your free speech, but we don't want to hear you. So just go over in that field over there where we've put a little, you know, chalk line. So they had the authority to do it. They had the power. They got the sexual inclination. They're commanded another soul, another's behavior with the little things. You can manipulate with the big things. So submission, compliance, obedience, that's all that Spalding University gives a fuck about. They don't care about the learning pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy, or the individuality, spirituality, ethics, morality. All notions that we were even human beings are thrown out the window in exchange for 2.5 years of oppression. But being that it was tolerable, and it was mild fucking harassment, mild sexual harassment, I was going to not make a big deal about it, graduate, and go on, okay? So, you know, maybe her sexual inclination just fucking got a hold of her, and she couldn't control her fucking self, right? She was controlling a grown-ass man, telling him to click on this and click on that, and she just lost it, right? She had just 100% power over me, and she just couldn't help herself. She just lost it. You know, never did she try to ask me to do things or explain to me like a fucking person, but that doesn't fucking matter. You're just a male student. You're here to be molested and oppressed. That's it. Shut the fuck up. This is Richard Hudson. This is Jennifer Mangio. This is Elizabeth Rogers. This is Jennifer Chancellor, or Julie Chancellor, and everybody else that fucked with me there, okay? So that's, these assholes knew about this shit, and they didn't give a fuck about it, because all they give a fuck about is their power and their money. I got my power, I got my money, fuck the world. They're Republicans. I don't, you know, they're just a bunch of greedy fucking, you know, capitalists. And I don't give a fuck about, you know, they'll try to be like, no, I care about the world. No, you don't. You don't give a fuck at all. Because if you cared about the world, you wouldn't be making everybody stupid and obedient. So the question is, if we're not, you know, going to make them completely obedient, and then we don't want them to be a bunch of violent assholes, what kind of people do we want? Well, we don't want them, right, to be bullies. We don't want them to be fascists like these assholes. They have to be able to get what they want without having to resort to violence. So, you know, we have free associations. I can go over to, you know, Bob's house and say, hey, can I buy, you know, your chainsaw? How much? 400. Okay, here. And then that's it. That's okay. I'm allowed to do something like that. That's a voluntary association. You know, we agreed with it. Now, so where do we go from here, right? What am I saying? Voluntary association. So I was trying to talk about submission, power, and authority. And so where do we go from here? When we have, what do we do? What the fuck am I talking about? 100% compliance. Oh, yeah. So what we teach the kids, and what we all need to learn. If you don't have it, you need to learn it, okay? Now, we need to learn how to convince people how to do things, okay? Bullies say, hey, do as the fuck as I say, or else you're gonna get hurt. Oh, boy. Oh, you know, and where do they get that shit? You better do as I say, or I'm going to act shitty until you comply. That's straight from public education. That's why Americans are such assholes. If you do as I say, or I'll be shitty. Or they're the quiet, obedient type, and they just do what everybody else tells them, right? And they never control their own lives, and they don't know why they're fucking miserable, because they're so nice to everybody else. So what we want is them to be able to peacefully assert them. We want them to have power. We want them to get rich and have power. We want the children to succeed in life. No, a lot of these assholes don't give a shit. I remember Julie Chancellor saying, hey, I know I'm hard on you all, but I love you. I love you all. Bullshit. You don't steal my soul and my freedom away from me and then sit there and tell me you fucking love me. You piece of shit. You had to destroy it. You had to take my soul. You had to take what made me human away from me just so you could love me. You have to make me a tool, an object for you to manipulate. And if the only way you can love me is to make me into a tool or an object to be manipulated, you don't fucking love this person. You don't love this man. You love what this man can do. You can love what this man can do for you, but you don't actually love this man. And so, you know, fuck all that shit. So what we want, what do we want? You know, we can complain all day long, but what is it that we need? What do we want? And what we need and what we want is smart, capable children who are getting along and talking with each other, who can work and get along and cooperate with other groups. But also, we want them to have power. We want them to be able to peacefully and intelligently assert themselves. That's the only way you can do it. You know, I want a chainsaw, so what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go over there. I'm not going to be like lackadaisical. I'm going to have it ready, right? Well, I'd like to buy that chainsaw. How much? Well, $300 right here in my pocket. Okay, done. You know what I mean? So that's peacefully, intelligently. That's the only way that you can do anything. If we're telling people, if you're making sure that kids have no power and you're allowing them to never be able to peacefully or intelligently assert themselves, right? If they can never ever get their way for any fucking thing, you take all their power away. It makes me think of the JFK quote. When you make peaceful reform or revolution impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable. So if you don't make it to where a person can peacefully, you know, of course we're not all going to get what we want, right? That's a good lesson for a student. It's a good lesson for the fucking teacher too. Okay, they don't always get what the fuck they want, right? So yes, that's one thing. But a lot of times people do get what they want. You know, if I go to the store and I put my money on the counter and I get my pack of gum, I did it. I got my fucking money. How did I get money? So then that's just, you know, how do you get more money? These are good things to be talking about, but the teachers don't want the kids to be powerful or wealthy or rich. They just want them to shut the fuck up and just do the homework that they put in front of their faces. And then some of these teachers, they've been in there for so goddamn long, they just hate everybody and everything. They're just shitty to anybody and everybody. And that's the people that's teaching us. No, we want our kids to be smart. We want them to be strong. We want them to be capable and make good decisions. We want them to be moral. We want them to build contacts and networks, to have friends, to have people who's got their backs, and to find people who's going to, you know, get them to their dreams, who's going to line up with their dreams and get them where they want to go. So not only do we want to educate them with the knowledge and information, we also want to get them curious about that knowledge and information. And then we want them to come up with their own educational programs. And then we as teachers or educators or administrators just administrate their own educational programs. You want to learn this stuff? Well, we'll get you, you know, if we can get enough students in that class, then we can get the teacher, and boom, we can do that, right? And so, and then we can, you know, this is what I want to learn. And so, you know, I want to learn this, and if anybody wants to, you know, come here and learn, and then have each other learn from each other, you know what I mean? Have each teach from each other, learn from each other. And then if we, the adults, if we can have a teacher training program where we, the adults, start learning to get together and work together, then we'll see a better society. But until the teacher training programs, and this is U of L, Spalding University, anybody that has the Prussian industrial model of teacher training, until they can get their shit together, because they're the ones teaching the oppression. Classroom management is all the rage, and that's all that fucking matters. They'll say, well, I taught you this PowerPoint. No, you didn't. You taught me to shut the fuck up. That's what I remember you said. You told me to shut the fuck up. Or you told me to shut up and be quiet. And, you know, people might forget what you say, people might forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And if you made me, I'm a grown-ass man, and I'm sitting in these classrooms, I'm being made to feel like a dog, like a fucking kindergartner. Like my 32 years of everything that I've gone through, doesn't fucking matter. Shut the fuck up and do as if you're my slave. You're my slave dog, bitch. The slave, nigger slave, right? It's rhetoric, don't get mad, but it's hierarchy. There's only revolutionaries and fascists. There's only the oppressed and the oppressors. Which side are you on? Do you want to be the slave or the master? You're not on my side. You're not my fucking friend. Get the fuck away from me. I think there are some good uses of power, but that's when people agree to do the thing, you know. So if they're just getting money, it's just a bunch of selfish fucking assholes doing whatever the fuck they can do in order to survive out here. That's all I see with America. A bunch of capitalists, selfish fuckers doing whatever the fuck they want to do. So if a capitalist can get, you know, a bunch of bitches, a bunch of obedient slaves in his little troop, you know, if he could do that, I don't think it's like a good cause where everybody's helping them to eat and survive. So maybe that is a good cause in of itself, if that's the point. You know, he could just want the slaves, right? And a lot of times wage slaves work harder than like the slaves you could own. But I totally veered off there. But my point is that we need strong, capable, you know, students that can peacefully and intellectually assert themselves. If you take away the ability for them to peacefully and intellectually assert themselves, you only leave them with one other option, and that's violence. So if they can't peacefully and intelligently, if there's no options, if there's no ways, we're not teaching them how to do this. I remember when I went to Working America in Cincinnati, I was taught to learn how to look people in the eye. I was taught to try to target people and get what I wanted out of them. And when you want something, you just say, hey, you know, if I was to say, I'm getting signatures, right, for children's health care. So if I was to go up to you and be like, I got this petition here, and it's a good cause, and I like it, but I don't know if you'll like it. So I'm not being rude. I just want you to take a look at it, and if you want to sign, you don't want to sign, no, okay, I'm sorry, and then just leave. Now take that, you know, tactic of getting a signature versus, hey, you know, I'm Jonathan Masters. We're Working America. We got 8.3 million children in this country who's got no health insurance, and I'm just looking to get a name on a piece of paper. More names we get, more we can put pressure on our politicians and actually get something. And then just shut up. Right? So I said it confidently. I already had what I was going to say in my mind, and then I had the thing in front of them. So all they got to do is just put their name down, and then I'm good. I'm golden. I can go to the next thing. So because I was able to learn those skills, which it was targeting, right, for signatures, but that targeting could be for anything. I could target somebody for a cigarette. You know, I could target somebody for some change, or, you know, target somebody to bring business into my, you know, if I'm there, right, come forward into my community. So I can, you know, use those sort of, I guess, convincing tactics, you know, for me. Now, also, the thing that I learned in Working America, I had to convince everybody. If I was to go to a door, you know, I'm Jonathan with, you know, Working America, Fight for Children's Health Care. Get the fuck out of here, you piece of shit, and don't you come back on my damn porch. Thank you, sir. You have a good day. And then I leave, right? So I had to learn how to take no's, too. So a fascist don't understand no's. A fascist, oppressor, Nazi, do as the fuck as I say. And then the 100% compliance is do as the fuck as I say, no matter if it makes any sense or if it doesn't make any sense. It's a rule I came up with. It's a rule I pointed out. And I'm not going to let you get by with it, because if you get by with it, then everybody will get by with it, and then I'll just be the laughing stock, and I got to have 100% control, or else it all just crumbles. And that's sad. That's really pathetic and sad. It's almost like they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to treat people or talk to people. And this is Spalding University, right? This is also the Prussian industrial model. So this is the fucking graduate school. This is teacher training school. They blew a fucking opportunity. We were all sitting in the classroom. We could all learn together. We could have taught each other. We're all learning the same shit. We could have been teaching each other and creating friendships, right? But we weren't doing that. We weren't creating any friendships. And we weren't creating any networks. And we weren't learning anything of value. Well, all I felt that was happening was my reputation was being destroyed. So Spalding University, that should be their motto, right? Where you can be oppressed and molested, and your reputation can be destroyed. Come on down. Oppressed, molest, and your reputation can be destroyed. That's Spalding University. That's all I felt. And I wish that, you know, I'd been talking to somebody that cared about me during this fucking time, because, or maybe people just don't know about this shit. But I mean, I could have dropped, or I could have finished my semester and went to the fucking Moorhead University, got my temporary certificate, and started fucking working. But because I, you know, went to this shitty ass fucking school, they put my life on hold for 2.5 years, because the degree only comes at the end of the fucking, you know, program. Not any time before, only at the very fucking end. But Moorhead would give you a temporary degree so you could go out and work. So if I would have gone to Moorhead like I wanted to, I would have learned more, I would have been happier with it, I would have liked the online education, I would have been working as a teacher a lot sooner, I would have been certified, and I wouldn't have had to deal with these stupid, shitty fucking assholes. So many fucking assholes, oppressor, molesters, so many fucking dickheads. And they're fucking fascist dickheads. They're shitty fucking people. They defend, I mean, they defend so many bad things. They defend oppression, right? So automatically they're for slavery. So when I said obedience to authority is the reason why we got slavery, directly, there is slavery right in the classroom. Right in the classroom. I remember one teacher I was talking to in the Brown School, and I was pointing out that in Django, they had this, they had a bunch of Leonardo DiCaprio sitting there like making a speech about how his daddy had, you know, his Uncle Tom Negro who would shave him every day, and how there were so many numerous, there's always 30 slaves versus just a couple, you know, 5 or so of the masses people, you know, his family and shit in the house. And he always wondered, why did 5 people why were they able to control and manipulate 30 people? How are they able to do that? How was 5 able to control, so right, how many little control everybody? Well, a teacher's one person, and they're manipulating a whole class of 30. In fact, I've heard some teachers say it's easier to teach 30 people than it is to teach one. Because when you teach one, you got to make sure they fucking know it. When you teach 30, you can just say the thing that you said and then sit down and be like, well, learning's your responsibility. What the fuck ever. I don't care. I mentioned it. And since I said it, you learned it. No, I only learned 5%. I only learned 5% of your fucking lecture. You didn't teach me jack shit. The learning pyramid. It's basic fucking education 101. The only person that learned anything was you. Because you taught us, and when you teach us, you learn 90% of the things you teach. The only teacher in the fucking room is the teacher, and the education is absolutely fucked. The fucking education system is totally fucked because of this. And I'm not a big charterite. I believe in solidarity, and I believe in universal education, but I don't believe in totalitarian fascism, and that's what we're teaching in public schools. Is totalitarian fascism. It's strict hierarchy. One ruler, one dictator, no democracy. Shut up, sit down. And if you don't like shut up or sit down, they can hurt you right there with security guards. They can throw you on the ground. They can humiliate you, make fun of you, call your parent. Let that, if they're abusing their kids, make sure that the abusive parents beat the fuck out of the kids, right? How dare you fuck with me? I'm the teacher around here. I'll call your abusive parent and get him to beat the fuck out of you. Wait a second. You know I got an abusive parent, and you're not gonna fucking help me? You're not going to help me get out of this fucking bad situation? You're an oppressor. You like the fact that they beat me up because you can tell me what to fucking do no matter what. And you know that I'll have to fucking do it because I have no other fucking choice in this world. So they actually use kids getting beat up to their fucking advantage. So there's a ADHD, the over-diagnosis of an ADHD is because of the oppression. Who the fuck can sit still when somebody's staring at you, treating you like shit, like a dog? Kristen Harris, there was a story that she defended. A student was with her cooperating teacher, and then she was sitting there yelling at this boy, like, you're not doing your work, you need to do this, how dare you, you're always embarrassing me, you never do any of this thing, you're never going to make it in life unless you start to learn how to take orders and learn how to take directions, be an adult, and do this and do that. And somebody said that she was being a Nazi, and Kristen Harris goes, no, don't say that she was being a Nazi. Because Kristen Harris knows she identifies with the asshole fucking pointing in the kid's face, right? That's who the fuck she identifies with. This is the asshole pointing in the face. That's who I am, right? That's who she is in that situation. She doesn't understand what it feels like to be that fucking, a boy, getting your ass kicked at home, coming to class, having some asshole fucking scream and yell in your fucking face, and then that's acceptable. That's okay. That's a safe and positive learning environment. A white female teacher can get in front of a fucking boy's face. I don't know if it's white or black kid, but it doesn't matter. It's slavery all the fucking same. And fucking yell in their fucking face and get them to comply, and that's okay. They can use all tactics, right? Don't put your hands on them. Don't cuss. All their tactics are on the fucking table. Use phone calls, divide and conquer, move them in the chairs, change their fucking seating arrangements, don't let them partner up. You can do lots of different things. There's so many fucking tactics that's in the teacher's disposal. And they've been thinking about this teacher training school. I feel like 2.5 years, that's all they were telling me, right? Just fucking manipulate, control, fucking power. Hold the power. Never let the power go. So yeah, most of the educators are white women. The classrooms were white women. Spalding University only passed white women. I think there was like two boys there. There was a white man and a black man, right? And so there's two males, right? There's two males there, and that was it. And there's 99%. You already got an 80 to 90% field that's filled with white women. So if these white women can't understand what a grown-ass man goes through, they're not going to fucking give a shit what the little boy is going through, is getting his ass kicked. He doesn't have enough words. He can't articulate his feelings and his thoughts to the point where you would understand. You want obedience and compliance. That's all you give a fuck about. So if he tries to say, hey, if I'm obedient and compliant to you and obedient and compliant to them, when do I get to be myself? I don't really get to be myself. Then I probably shouldn't trust you and I shouldn't trust them and I should run away and do something for myself. And yeah, he should. He absolutely should. But if he's asking your dumb ass, your fucking oppressor ass, who don't give a fuck about anybody but your own power and your own money, you're going to give bad advice because you don't actually care about them. You want them to, quit asking you questions. Get out of here. Stop asking me questions. And also you want to keep your authority and your power. So either quit asking me questions or, well, you need to do this and do that. So bunch of white women. What the fuck this isn't going to be a white country anymore. You're going to have more Mexicans, you got more Chinese people, and good, we're all an immigrant nation anyways. Unless you're speaking Algonquin, you're not speaking the native language of this great land. Unless you're Shawnee, you're not the original nativist who is here. Okay, so fuck your anti-immigration fucking, bigotry. Where am I going with this? Oh, the white women. Yeah, so we got a changing demographic. White people ain't going to be the majority no more. We got, more everybody. We got more Haitians, more Canadians, more Chinese, more, Europeans, more Africans, more everybody's coming into this country. And because we're having seen a more of a rainbow sort of, differentiated population, we're going to need people that actually understand that shit. We're going to need people that actually have to take an extra step and realize what it is that people actually go through. Because Julie Chancellor, white woman, making $55,000, Elizabeth Rogers, stuck up, spoiled, treats her husband like shit. Her husband says, why are you being a bitch, right? So she would never be able to raise her husband. She could never create her husband. She couldn't do it. Because that husband clearly is not her slave, is not beholden to her, and she can't fuck his life over. And because she can't fuck his life over, she is in the relationship by her own choice. And when he says you're being a bitch, he means it. He's saying, like, typically you're a nice bitch, but today you're being a mean bitch, and she shuts the fuck up and respects that, because that's the type of man. She wants a man who will stand up and, won't just allow her to fucking push her around. And that's, that's what she fucking expects out of all of her students. So she'll go in and, her man's calling her a bitch, but she'll go in and then make all these other men her bitches. A bunch of obedient slaves. And she would never date any of them. You shouldn't date any of your students, but I'm saying if somehow she could, teach them and get them to get on their job and they came back, right, and then that would not be a man that she would create. That would be a man that would always be beholden and want to do every fucking thing that she is told. That's what she's trained to do. She's trained to make them an obedient little bitch, to get them into a routine, to get them to the point where they say, hey, class, yes, yes, and then everybody looks at the teacher's attention, right? So it gets them into a routine, gets them into practicing doing things over and over again, and then that's how you do it. They even try to do this shit in fucking school. And nobody fucking did this shit because they was convinced of what she was saying. They did this shit so she didn't look stupid. Okay? So everybody covered her fucking ass. The kiss-ass fucking graduate students who's going to be your teacher next year. Don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your soul. They don't give a shit about your life. They're going to tell you, shut the fuck up and make you learn some dumb shit that, you could have been interested in, but they don't try to make it interesting, and they force you to do it, and then they ruin that subject for you for the rest of your life. And in Kentucky, we don't have charter schools. We don't have any alternatives. We're forced to go to these public education schools, and if we don't, we'll go to jail for truancy. Our parents will go to jail. And so we're fascists. It's such a fucking fascist society. Fascism is, I'm going to hurt you. Either do as I tell you or I'm going to hurt you. And that's what's norm. That's the norm. Anything else don't look right. If someone says, you do as I say or I'm going to hurt you, and then the person's like, well, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. I mean, I didn't just sit here and you tell me to do what you tell me to do. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, no. That looks weird. But it's him resisting oppression. And he shouldn't have to do what the fuck that asshole says. I don't give a fuck if he said it smooth, confident. I don't give a fuck if he's the goddamn fucking God, Lord, President of, fucking Afghanistan or whatever. I was going to say something big, but I went with the Afghanistan. But anyways, I wouldn't even give a fuck if he was like king of the world, right? I wouldn't even give a fuck who the fuck he is. I'm not your slave. And if that's how you coming at me automatically, I don't want you to be your friend. I don't want to be involved with you whatsoever fucking ever. You're coming at me like a fucking asshole straight from the get-go. And if you get me to comply to you when you're treating me like an asshole, right? Because that's Spalding University, 100% compliance. Use shitty fucking assholery. Use whatever shitty tactics. Get shitty. Be an asshole. That's what the fucking Spalding University is saying in order to get students compliance. Do is, don't cuss. Don't ever cuss. I'm using it because that's how I think about it. I'm using cuss words to explain the general. So, I get in the classroom, I'm not going to say any cuss words. I'll just say, if I'm an oppressor, right? And Julie Chancellor yelled kids. So immediately, these assholes go for fascism right from the get-go. They don't try to trust They don't try the positive behavior intervention system where you try to be nice to them, where you intercede a problem before it happens by actually being, concerned with them and listen to their stories, hear them out, care about their lives, have a genuine interest in who they actually are. So, those are the ways you can build trust up. But if you don't try to do those things and you just go straight for fuck you, you're, do as the fuck as I say, I think it's an all-in tactic. It's like in poker, right? I'm going to be shitty to these kids, and if they all shut the fuck up, I win. So because then everybody knows when I say shut up, you do as the fuck as I say, and everybody does it, right? But what happens if you get somebody who loves freedom and they're not used to that? What if you got a Jean-Jacques Rousseau kid, somebody who's been taught and knows a lot of things, a big scientist, engineer, he knows a bunch of inventions, and he can do lots of, probably cured cancer, right? Cures cancer and knows a lot of scientific experiments and scientific knowledge, but now he's sitting in your class. So you're going to say, well, fuck you, scientist, and all that you know. You're a dumb little stupid shit, and I'm the boss, and listen to me. Is that what you're going to do? That you're destroying a fucking scientist just to make them a fucking slave. And you want to talk about the killing creativity, right? You got Ken Robinson talking about how school kills creativity. They kill everything. They don't just kill creativity. They kill your soul, your spirit, your everything. When they tell you to shut up and get up and do a little performance, you should be embarrassed. You're being a little bitch for somebody else doing some shit you didn't really want to fucking do. And you're doing it in front of everybody now, right? So there's the public speaking element to it, and then there's also you being a fucking obedient little bitch. And it's not right. It just ain't right. Right? A monkey with a shock collar never complained about anything. For 2.5 years, I was mostly obedient. Sit down, shut up, student. And they want to try to say, well, remember that one time? Remember that one time? Fuck you. Pat Todd was a bitch for 3 fucking hours. She was an oppressor, fucking molester for 3 fucking hours. She was an asshole. She was shitty to everybody. And she was all cocky, like waiting for somebody to say something to her so she could be a bitch to him. Couldn't wait to do it. Oh, you're wearing go-go boots. She's like 80 years old, with all this fucking makeup and pretending like she's so fucking cute. She's ugly. She's disgusting. She's disgusting on the inside. She's disgusting how she fucking thinks she's a little, a sexy fucking teenager, and she's disgusting because she's an oppressor, molester. She only cares about fascism, so she prances around. I'm so smart. Look at this. Look at that. I know what's going on. What are you going to say about that? Huh? Huh? And so my point is, when they start to be shitty, they start with the oppressive fucking asshole tactics, and you comply, all you just did was validate their assholery. You validated their bitchcraft. You validated their bitchery. They turn into a bitchy asshole. They turn into a shitty fascist. When they turn into a fucking bitchy asshole or a shitty fascist and get you to comply, what they've learned is every time they're a shitty bitch or an asshole, they will fucking get you to fucking move. And that's the point. That's the fucking point of modern education, of the public education system. I went to teacher training school, been there for two fucking years, 2.5 years. I went in there wanting better public speaking skills and working on my lesson plans. Those things didn't fucking matter whatsoever. I wasn't encouraged to do my own thing. I wasn't encouraged to, be curious about the material that they was teaching. It was just basically, here it is, fuck you, do it. Shut the fuck up and do it. Just shut the fuck up and do it. But it's all wrong. It's all fucking wrong. You're going to smash the scientists who cured cancer to make them a slave just so you can teach them? You're not teaching if you have to fucking smash somebody. Can you keep a scientist? Can you keep all their knowledge and everything that they've done, their entire body of work, and their personality and their dignity and who they are? Can't you keep that person intact and still teach them a little bit of math? Still teach them a little bit of social studies? They can be who they are. I don't have to smash them down into, a little tiny little slave, nigger bitch. I don't need to do that. I don't need to smash them down into fucking grindstone. I just need to respect them enough that they're a person. And if they're here to learn, right? If they want to learn, then all I have to do is just show them what to learn, right? So if they already want to learn, the thing's already done. But if they don't want to learn, then I need to get them to the point where they want to learn, right? Why will you need this? Well, I can explain why you need it, this and this, but it could just be a relationship thing, right? I don't trust you. I don't think you actually have my interest in mind. I don't think you have my best interest in mind. You're a teacher, and you all been trained to just manage us. I'm philosophically opposed to being managed. So what you going to do with me now? You're going to go with your management tactics. You're going to go with the only fucking thing that you know. You're not going to treat me like a person. You're not going to say, hey, way to think outside the box. Hey, I like your independent thinking. I like what you're doing here. Maybe you might be the one who cures the fucking cancer. Because, you know, people that just think the same fucking way over and over again, you're not going to come up with anything new. And I heard 10,000 scientists is what we need for one breakthrough. And public education isn't creating any scientists, right? 10,000 is what we need for one breakthrough. And our public education system isn't teaching, you know, us to be creative scientists and to be capable of doing things for others. It's teaching us to sit down and shut up. And I didn't read any of this, but, you know, the Spalding University robbed me of $50,000, $50,000 to $60,000, all the college education loans, teach grants, and all this other shit right at the fucking finish line. So for 2.5 years, I make straight A's and B's, a 3.3 GPA. The one C that I got was by the woman that fucking molested me, right? And a molester oppressor. I got molested, and I did, I got threatened too, right? And I got bullied all the time. All these, you know, oppressors are a bunch of fucking bullies. They don't give a fuck about anybody. So I get bullied, and it was more important for them to have the power and money than for me to learn any knowledge or to make new friends. In fact, friendship was like a very huge... It's Spalding University's policy not to have any friends. Don't talk to anybody, you know, in the classroom. Maybe after class you can fucking work something out, but when you're in the class, you sit down, you shut the fuck up, and you listen to your master. That's your God. You're owned. It's basically like the military. When you sign up for the military, the government owns you. When you sign up for Spalding University, they fucking own your ass, and they don't give a shit. They don't care about who you are, where you came from, what your morals are. They don't have morals. They don't have ethics. They just want to smash your fucking face in, smash your soul, get you to fucking be just like them. They're a bunch of fascist dickholes, and they think they're so goddamn clever. They think because they come up with the idea, hey, I'm going to call your mother, I'm going to call your parents up, and I'm going to tell how you're behaving, you better straighten up. They think they're clever because they know shit like that. You know, like big fucking deal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. It's, and that's another thing. It's like, pick up that pencil, or what? Or I'll kick you out of school. Whoa! Pick up that fucking pencil, or you're gonna fuck up my life, and then I'll be the asshole for getting mad about that. If I'm the student, you just told me to pick up a pencil, which I got a pen and I got a pencil over here. Why do I gotta pick up that fucking? Fuck you. No, I don't want to do it. No, I'm not gonna pick up that fucking pencil. You kiss my ass. Kiss my ass, and I might think about picking that pencil up. But go ahead. You want to be an order fucking fascist piece of shit? Just because you don't cuss, that don't make you a good person. You're cursing me with your orders. That's cussing. That's you're cursing me to be a little slave bitch for the rest of my life. Hey, pick up that pencil. Curse. You're a slave nigger bitch. Curse. You'll be a slave nigger bitch with no soul for the rest of your life. Curse. Do as the fuck as your master tells you now, bitch. That's what they're telling us in these fucking schools. And then they're telling us that's good, that's going to make us become somebody one day. No. That will never make anybody become any fucking thing. Get the fuck out of here. The only way that you can make somebody become something is if you either inspire them and get to them that point, or they already had the dream and the ambition themselves to begin with. And, yeah, so Frederick Douglass, he pointed it out that until somebody actually shows some power for themselves, then, you know, the human nature is weird. This is Frederick Douglass. It was after he got in a fight with William Covey, and he said that a person can only show pity for, it's weird, it's human nature. We can only pity a creature for so long. But if that creature doesn't show any power for itself, we begin to lose interest, and we don't fucking pity it no more. Like Palestine. Israel could just blow Palestine up, and nobody would have gave a fuck, right? But Palestine is fighting back. And because they're fighting back, people are taking notice. Here's this tiny little country with a bunch of peasants that have nothing going on for themselves, and they're taking on Israel, which is backed by one of the biggest militaries in the fucking world. They're going to be free or die, just like Patrick Henry. Live free or die. Patrick Henry is a founding father. Benjamin Franklin. His fucking education was studying on his own and overthrowing the government. You know, Tecumseh, Abraham Lincoln, they did the same shit, right? They were educated, and they were, like, for their time period, one of the most important fucking figures. How was Tecumseh educated? Was he sitting in these classrooms listening to what white massa, said to do? Or was he just a badass fucking warrior? He thought for himself. He looked around the countryside and said, hell, these damn white people are taking all of our Indian land. Maybe all of us Indians need to get together and start fighting these whites. And that was genius, because we had to fight him, we had to, not we, I was about to say we, right, but the American government fought Tecumseh up until, what, 1813, 1814, 15, somewhere around there. So, you know, they fought him for like decades, for fucking decades they had to fight Tecumseh. And how was Tecumseh educated? He was educated out in the fucking woods, running, being free, you know, hunting and getting his own fucking food, self-sufficiency. And when people fuck with you, you fuck with them back. You don't take bullshit. You don't take nothing lying down. Frederick Douglass was getting his ass kicked, and then eventually he, you know, puts fucking Edward Covey in the fucking ground. And then that's it. So Elizabeth Rogers, she ignored everything. She ignored everything that happened. She didn't give a fuck about truth or justice. She wasn't listening. It wasn't, the show trial was just to fuck me over, force me to comply, to get me to submit. And that's the honest to God's truth. And they'll fucking never admit to that, because I feel like I'm basically 95% right about this. Yeah, I called the operator a bitch, and I feel bad about it. But she was being a bitch. She was being a bitch. And, you know, she's a liar, right? So, okay, which one's worse? A person who lies all the time, or somebody who calls an asshole out for being an asshole? Give me the person that calls the asshole out every fucking day of the week over a liar. How can you trust what the fucker a liar says? A liar lies. So they come up to you and they say, hey, I saw this fucking thing. Wait, aren't you the person that lies? I don't trust you or believe you. Get the fuck out of my face. Give me the person that calls the asshole out any fucking day of the week over a fucking liar. And that's the only thing that I could say that I made a mistake on. I mean, bitch, it's got the sexual connotations or whatever. So, you know, I didn't want to go really that route, but I felt she was being sexist. I felt she was treating me like an asshole because, oh, you're just a man. Fuck you. And that's the way it's felt the whole time I Spalding University. It's all women. And, you know, I was living next to a house full of shitty fucking women, and it's all I had in my life was a bunch of women, and they were all assholes. And you're going to sit there and tell me that I'm the fucking sexist? No, you guys were all fucking assholes. Y'all couldn't empathize with me for 10 fucking seconds. I could not only empathize with you, but I could fucking love on you and dote you and just, I could be your man, right? Could you imagine? God, that would be, to have a man come over and take care of you, have a man love you, have a man fucking listen to you, you know, to have a man fucking do all that stuff, to have a man, you know, like a lesbian once said, who wants a woman? Why would anybody want a woman? You know what I mean? Like, a man is going to be there for you, take care of you, pick you up when you're down, protect you, take a bullet for you, and just love like fucking deep, right? This man will. But a woman is like that. I guess I'm talking about girlfriend, but that's still it's you know, that's how I would be with a girlfriend. But with a good female friend, I got your back. You know, I care about a good female friend, and so it just feels like women don't have like 10 seconds of empathy. It's like, you got a dick. And maybe just the women that I was around. Maybe it was just my fucking house, you know. Maybe it was just that household that was right next to me. Maybe it was just 80% of the fucking teachers in the Spalding University, or, you know, that I've ever fucking ran into. Maybe it was just, you know, that white bitch down at the fucking hospital. Maybe she was just, you know, maybe that's just the one bitch ever, right? And maybe there's you know, there's lots of shitty fucking women all over the fucking place. You know, the fucking judge, they're fucking at the public defendant's office. A lot of shitty fucking women out here, and you're gonna tell me that they're the better sex, they're the good? No, they don't. They can't empathize with me whatsoever, and it's not cute when you fucking with my life and mean teasing me. You know, Pat Ty was like, "What is this signature doing right here?" You know, like being cute and flirty with me, but accusing me of forgery, which is like a felony, right? Isn't that like a major crime? So she's being cute and you're fucking with my life? That's not cute. And if that's how you think flirting and being cute is you have to use power over somebody, well, you better do as I say, or I'm gonna spank you rotten. That's not cute. I don't want to be spanked rotten, and it's not fucking cute. You're taunting. You're like a cat taunting a fucking mouse prey. So they had no due process, no evidence, but it didn't matter to him. She had a vagina, and Richard Hudson hated me, so he didn't care if there was evidence or reasons. He was going to fuck my life over. They flicked the fucking fly, and they thought, the hell, we're done with this asshole. Nah, they're not done with him. I'm going to sue the shit out of them, and I'm going to make some fucking money. You're going to steal $50,000 away from me and give me nothing but hell for 2.5 fucking years after I've written 300 fucking pages, 200 volunteer hours, I'm bicycling all over the goddamn fucking city? 300 fucking pages of material, of academic work, and that's all it was academic, meaning irrelevant. That's Elizabeth Rogers. You do what the fuck she tells you to do, you're doing irrelevant academic work. Irrelevant practice work. So that way you can be as good as she is. Fuck that, she ain't good at shit. These assholes have never taught a single person their entire fucking lives. Ever. They force people to do shit they don't want to fucking do just to make them feel like they taught something. But they didn't teach anybody a goddamn thing except for their dumb fucking bitches. Go through this fucking rigmarole and maybe I'll give you a good fucking grade. Good job. Terry Schoon's a goddamn depressor. Makes you do all this stupid busy work. Do this, do that, do this. Throw out their own souls. The person demands a ton of work for a class, in and out of class, get somebody underneath the thumb, executing orders. Students demand military, marine, like obedience, submission, compliance. Not hard to believe that she put me into a position of being sexually harassed. It's not hard to believe any of this stuff. So she says, I don't lie. You all defend the liars. You defend the liars. That's what the fuck you all do. Bitch-ass fucking Richard Hudson wants me to come back to the fucking Spalding University so he can humiliate me some more. Right? He wanted to give me a no trespassing thing. Guess what? You're a private university. The laws on the books already says I'm not supposed to trespass. You don't need to do anything extra. But that fucker is going to pretend to be my friend, invite me back on the campus so he could treat me like a dick. Fuck him. Fuck him. I would. I guess that's actually where my, if I want to fight anybody, no, I don't want to fight no woman. I want to fight the fucking men around her that made her a shitty fucking asshole. You want to defend the fucking shitty asshole when she's got no evidence? What, under what planet? What planet do you say that she was right and I was wrong? I got up and said I did nothing wrong, and she says, well, we're going to go ahead and kick you out of school anyways. And that was it. That is all she needed? Did she talk to you beforehand? You already had a discussion? You already conspired to pressure me and corner me and sabotage me? Is that what the fuck you did? Is that big of a fucking, you know, a surprise that these teachers conspire and get together and fuck over their fucking students? No, it's not. That's what the fuck they do. And it's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. It's a ruling class that's governing the masses. And the masses should fuck over the ruling classes and take the school for themselves. That's true freedom. That's revolutionary. That's democratic. Ruled by the fucking people. And if you don't give us options to peacefully and intelligently assert ourselves, you're forcing us just to be human. Just to be human. To be violent. So if you don't have a fucking option, you don't have any ways for us to be strong, to get the things we want to do, you make us completely fucking powerless. You deserve it. You deserve what the fuck happens, you know? They get all mad about Palestinians fucking putting bombs on them and blowing themselves up. Maybe they're blowing themselves up with bombs because they're so goddamn oppressed. They're so fucking oppressed, they say, my life don't even fucking matter. We gotta fucking kill these goddamn militants because they're killing my family, my cousins, and everybody else. I don't even care. I'm gonna blow myself up. And then some people say, well, look at them animals. They're blowing themselves up, you know? No, they're not animals. That's a tool of the oppressed. And they're so fucking oppressed, they would rather die in glory doing something good for their fucking family than sitting around waiting to get blown up. Palestine. Look at Israel and Palestine. They're the Israelis, I'm the Palestinian. They want to fucking blow the shit out of me and ruin my life, and they get away with every crime that they get, you know what I mean? It's one-sided argument, total domination, terrorize you, laugh in your face, make your life's issues pale in comparison to the abuse they're about to perpetuate on you. No, it wasn't good policy. Terry Schoon should have kept her fucking hands to herself. And Richard Hudson and Elizabeth Rogers should have fucking listened and gave a shit. But they have no fucking moral core. It doesn't matter to them. They side with people that they think is powerful. They're only pleasant enough to the people that they feel like they got to be pleasant to. They're two-faced pieces of shit. All they give a fuck about is dictatorship. They're autocratic dictatorship monarchists. They're monarchists. They're fucking monologuists. They're only talking to themselves. There's no dialogue going in the classroom. They're just teaching at you, talking at you. Learning Pyramid says they're the only ones that's learning 90%. They're the only ones getting a fucking education. There is no relationships. They're destroying all the fucking relationships in the room. Nobody can be their friends or true friends because you're all a bunch of slave bitches. So shut the fuck up, right? You want to be a friend and be strong and think that you're a true man, but you're just a bitch-ass slave just like he is, just like she is. You're nobody. And until we can start to get away from that and teach each other to respect each other, to employ democratic structures, we're always going to see a bunch of weird-ass behavior. It's a bunch of fascist totalitarianism, and that only means there's the oppressors, there's the bosses, and then there's the fucking dumb slaves who just do as they say. And I think that we're much more complicated, and I think we can evolve from this, and we can do so much better with equality. Equality is so fucking. I wish Spalding University believed in some aspect of equality. They don't even believe in the golden rule. They stole $50,000 away from me with no evidence. If I stole $50,000 away from them without any evidence, without any due process, without even charging them, without even telling them, what their fucking crime was, is that acceptable? Of course not. They would totally fucking, they would call the cops and do every fucking thing in the world if I stole $50,000 away from them, but they're allowed to do it willy-nilly. In fact, I never actually got the money. The financial aid took the fucking money, and they would take the money out of the check. They would hold the check. They would send the check to the wrong mailbox, and then I would get the residual, money after that. But the whole time, federal government give the loan not to me, but they give it to my school. And my school fucked with my money the whole fucking time. Spalding University's financial aid is a mess. They don't tell you the information you need to know. They're not forthcoming with information. I got the Teach grant, but she tried to tell me that it wasn't, it didn't apply to me, and so I had to do all this extra research and shit. But she never would have told me that opportunity was even available to me. I had to bring that to her. If I didn't bring it to her, I would have never been able to get the Teach grant, even though it was a fucking, a piece of money that was available to me. She doesn't want to do any extra work. She cares about protecting her friends and her buddies, but the general public, the general population, no fucking way. She's just going to do the less that she had to do. And that's what she did. That was Vicky Montgomery. And that's $50,000. They fucked with $50,000. They fucked with my money every fucking semester, every fucking time. And then when it actually came to, giving me an education or giving me networks or contacts for this world, they didn't do nothing. They did not help at all. They just treated us like a bunch of kindergartners and told us to shut up and sit down. And all my other colleagues, all the people that you're going to be listening to, who's going to be teaching your fucking kids, just like little kindergarten children, like little bitch-ass slave niggers, just like, just like the fucking submissive, the subordinate fucking nobody. The Uncle Tom, yes, massa, they hurried up. Then the massa told them to jump, they said how high. When the massa says do the fucking paper, they was like, yes, massa, can we kiss your ass too? Well, we're going to do this paper, and can we kiss your ass? And man, your makeup and your hair looks so nice today, right? That's who these people are. They don't have any fucking basis for morality or ethics. They have no moral core. They don't believe in ethics. They don't believe in the golden rule. They ain't going to treat you the way they want to be treated themselves. And in fact, because they've internalized the fascism, they think it's acceptable to be a fucking slave to your boss, and they're going to enslave the children just like they're enslaved. The biggest difference, they get paid. You get nothing. They get money. Okay? So they'll try to say, well, you're going to have to get a job one day, listen to a boss. No, you're the one that had to get a job and listen to a boss. I don't have to get a job. And you don't know if I'm going to get a job or not. You don't know if I'm going to start my own fucking business. So who the fuck are you to pretend that you know where my life is going to go? And you must be obedient because you're going to get a boss. Fuck you. Until that day comes, I want to be free, and I want to be learning the shit that I want to be fucking learning and doing the things that I want to do. And when I start learning the things I want to learn and do the things I want to do, that's when real education commences. And that's me as a student. Me as a teacher, when I can get the other students to do what they want to do and to pursue the things they want to pursue, and to get them to do it with a vigor, to be excited about it, to share each other. When you get a bunch of smart people, a bunch of nerds together where they cooperate and they want to learn from each other, collaboration, that's when you start to see good things happening. But so far, the dictator makes sure we don't have relationships and makes sure we don't talk to anybody. And then, at the very end of the day, it was all just about power. So what? They taught me in calculus. I know that the line goes on, and it might approach 1. Why does that matter? I don't fucking know. I have no idea. They forced me to learn that shit. They didn't make it to where it was actually part of my life and would be, carry me to where my next thing is. They didn't give me the plan because they didn't have a plan. They just wanted to tell me to shut up and sit down and learn the stupid shit that the state told them to fucking teach me. And it's not that hard to actually get me to do things. I think if you're nice and you ask me, a lot of times from up until now, if you had asked me to do things, I was more than welcome to do things, but I've been tricked by that. I have a fucking asshole piece of shit that came up and he asked me, hey, can you come with me real quick? And I did, and he wound up fucking me over. So that's that's typically the best way to approach me to get something done, is to ask me to treat me like a fucking person. And when I say no, you have to respect that. You know what I mean? If you come at me as a bully, do as the fuck as I say because I tell you to, I'm gonna have a problem with you. And I don't know anybody that wouldn't have a problem with, somebody just, I'm minding my own business, sitting a fucking, reading a book under this tree. And you're gonna sit there and treat me like an asshole? That ain't right. And that ain't fair. Peace out, America. Fuck the public education. Fuck totalitarian fascism and all the schools that go along with totalitarian fascism and kill spirituality, kill souls, kill democracy, and kill your spirit. Fuck them assholes. Fuck the oppressors. Fuck the fascists. Viva la revolution. Viva Palestine and Gaza.